You two don't belong here. Get off the mat now!
We challenge you. Stop hiding behind those belts and fight!
The tall black belt stepped forward with a smirk that spread slowly. Across his face, he cracked his knuckles and stared. Down at the two young men standing quietly across the mat, you two boys should know your place before stepping on this mat. The room went silent for a second, then a few people chuckled. The gym smelled faintly of rubber mats, sweat, and the sharp scent of cleaning spray that lingered from earlier classes. Bright overhead lights reflected off the polished floor where dozens of fighters had trained before. But now, every eye in the room was locked on the twins. Marcus and Malik Carter stood shoulder to shoulder. Same height, same broad build, same calm expression that never seemed rushed. They looked young. Early 20s, to most people in that room, they looked like beginners. The black belt rolled his shoulders. You boys think this is a game? A few of his students shifted closer, eager for entertainment. Someone whispered that this was about to get embarrassing. The twins said nothing. Their silence only made the smirks grow wider, because people often mistake quiet for weakness, and that mistake was about to become very expensive. Marcus Carter watched the room carefully. He had seen rooms like this before, rooms where people talked too loudly, rooms where pride walked in before wisdom. He had learned long ago that the loudest person in the room rarely understood the danger they stood in. Malik stood beside him, arms relaxed at his sides. Their breathing stayed slow, controlled, almost peaceful. But beneath that calm surface lived years of discipline few people could imagine. Marcus and Malik were born only 3 minutes apart in a small town outside Savannah. Their mother worked long shifts as a nurse. Their father had served 20 years in the military before coming home with a limp and eyes that sometimes stared too far into the distance. Growing up, the twins learned early that strength wasn't about shouting. Their father used to say something they would never forget. The strongest man in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove it. The twins grew up hearing stories of service, of quiet bravery, of friends who never came home. When they turned 18, both brothers made the same decision. They joined the military together. Training pushed them harder than anything they had known before. Cold mornings where breath turned white in the air. Endless drills that burned through muscle and bone. Instructors who spoke softly but demanded everything. Marcus still remembered the smell of damp earth during field exercises, the sound of boots moving through gravel before sunrise, the heavy silence before missions when everyone understood the risk. But no one complained. They learned hand-to-hand combat, not as sport, but as survival. Every move had purpose. Every strike had discipline. Their instructors taught them something even more important than fighting: control. Malik remembered the words from a senior trainer who had seen more conflict than most people ever would. Real warriors don't fight to show power. They fight only when there is no other choice. And they never forget what power can do. The twins carried that lesson with them through years of service, through deployments, through loss, through moments that reshaped how they saw the world. When their service ended, they returned home quietly. They didn't talk about where they had been. They didn't talk about what they had seen. They simply carried themselves with the calm weight of people who had already faced storms most others never would. Now they stood inside a crowded martial arts gym where none of that history was visible. All anyone saw were two quiet men standing across from a group of confident fighters. The black belt stepped forward again. He looked at Marcus first. Then Malik. You two really think you can fight here? A few people laughed again. Someone pulled out a phone, expecting a quick show. The twins exchanged a brief glance. It was the kind of glance that didn't need words. They had been communicating like that their entire lives. Marcus stepped onto the mat. Malik followed, still silent, still calm. The black belt stretched his neck and smiled. Let's see what you've got. The crowd leaned closer. Someone whispered that the twins were about to learn a lesson. But something strange happened as the match began. Marcus didn't rush. He didn't posture. He simply watched. His eyes followed every shift of weight, every movement of the shoulders, every breath. Malik stood nearby with the same quiet focus. The black belt circled once, clearly expecting panic. Instead, he saw stillness. That unsettled him. So he moved faster. The first attack came sharp and quick, but Marcus moved like water flowing around stone, effortless, controlled. The room blinked. Before anyone fully understood what happened, the black belt was on the mat staring up at the ceiling. No anger, no dramatic motion, just clean control. The room fell silent. Someone whispered, "Wait, what?" The black belt scrambled back up, confusion flashing across his face. He tried again. Faster, harder. But the result was the same. Marcus didn't strike with rage. He guided the energy, redirected it. Within seconds, the black belt was off balance again. Forced down with careful precision that avoided harm but left no doubt about the outcome. Now the room wasn't laughing. People were staring. Malik stepped forward when another fighter volunteered. The second black belt came in confident, but within moments, the same quiet control unfolded. Malik moved with calm discipline. No wasted motion. No show, just mastery. The man on the mat looked stunned, because nothing about the twins had looked aggressive. Yet everything about them was unstoppable. The gym owner watched from the side, slowly realizing something important. These men weren't beginners. They were professionals who had spent years mastering something far deeper than competition. Marcus finally spoke, his voice calm and steady. "Strength isn't about who can shout the loudest." The room listened. Malik added softly, "It's about knowing when you don't have to fight at all." The earlier laughter was gone. In its place was quiet respect. Even the first black belt stood still now, breathing hard, his pride replaced by something closer to humility. Marcus helped him up without hesitation. Because the twins weren't there to embarrass anyone. They were there to train, to grow, to honor the discipline they had spent their lives learning. Malik looked around the room, spoke one final line that would stay with many people long after that day. True power walks quietly, because it has nothing to prove. The crowd slowly nodded. Phones lowered, smirks disappeared, and something deeper replaced them. Respect, not the loud kind. The real kind. The kind earned through dignity. The kind earned through silence. The kind that cannot be demanded, only demonstrated. As the twins stepped off the mat, the gym owner approached them with a quiet handshake. No words were needed, because everyone in that room now understood the lesson. Real warriors don't announce themselves. They reveal themselves only when necessary. And when they do, the room never forgets. Emotional outro reflections. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet won't tell you their story. They won't list their battles. They won't demand attention. They simply carry themselves with quiet strength built through sacrifice, discipline, and experience. And sometimes the greatest lesson we can learn is this: never mistake silence for weakness. Because the calmest person in the room may be the one who has already faced the toughest storms. If this story moved you, share where you're watching from and what lessons stood out to you most. And if you believe stories about quiet strength deserve to be heard, subscribe for more stories that honor the silent heroes walking among us every day.